Okay, welcome to this Oztantra webinar. What we're going to talk about today is sexuality for men, separating ejaculation from orgasm, and also how to become multi-orgasmic, and what this means for you as a man. And are you aware that this is even possible, that ejaculation and orgasm are two separate functions for a man? And because they happen at the same time, the vast majority of men think that they're the same thing, when the reality is that they're not. They're two very, very separate functions. And to learn how to separate these two for men is always a challenge, because conditioning for what we're going to talk about today is some problems with the technology here. For men, separating ejaculation. That's better. Sorry about that. And men's conditioning is to ejaculate, just to get it over and done with. And unfortunately, that limits men quite significantly to the amount of pleasure that they can get out of their sexuality. And to give you an indication, that most men only achieve about 10% of their capacity for pleasure out of their sexuality, and that's, men are missing out quite significantly, which I think is quite sad. And it's not an easy journey to get into those higher percentages of pleasure in your own sexuality. To give you an example of what that means to a man is that, when he starts becoming sexually active and he starts masturbating or self-pleasuring, the pressure is, because there's usually so much shame around it, is to get up and over and done with before you get caught or found out. And the next stage is get up and get it over and done with before your girlfriend changes her mind. And then, a bit later on, get up and get it over and done with before the kids wake up. And then later on, get up and get it over and done with before you lose your erection. So, the life cycle of the man is all about getting it up and getting it over and done with. And in that process, the vast majority of pleasure is missed out on. And what that actually looks like is that when you get to the point of no return, where you finish, and if you say that's your 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, your point of no return is a 10. That 10 being, where you actually come. If you know how to separate ejaculating and orgasm, that actually when you get to 10, that you can actually separate your ejaculation and manage it so that you don't come, but still have your orgasm. Just imagine what that would be like. And if you are able to achieve this for yourself, 10 becomes your starting point. So your pleasure starts at 10. And it's a whole new world. And in that place of learning how to be with that, your sexuality takes on a whole new presence, a whole new meaning in your life. And it becomes something that's incredibly satisfying, hugely, deeply satisfying right through your whole body. And it is that simple, but it's also that complex, because the skills of learning how to take ejaculation out without closing down, without separating, without shutting down, are quite challenging, because the whole mindset of a man is around get it up and get it over and done with. And in that case, it's like becoming addicted to ejaculation. So if you're feeling challenged around not ejaculating, but still having your pleasure, and if you're challenged around that, you do want to still come, that's perfectly okay, because that's just part of the conditioning that you've had as a man. And recognizing that this might be what's happening for you, is that you do feel like you do have an addiction, that that's your end point, your goal, just makes you normal. And that's the way most men are conditioned to do that. And I find that really sad, because, my own experience, it's a very, very difficult habit to break. But the hardest part is to let go of the addiction. And if you can let go of the addiction and just realize that if you don't come, that you can experience a lot more pleasure for a lot longer, and it's actually a lot easier, a lot less frustration. You don't have the down of coming, and as you get older, the pleasure in this place increases. So this is something that just to remember, that I'm in my late 50s, and I'm experiencing more pleasure now than I ever have at any stage in my life, and with a lot less effort. And for a man, this is what the goal of this is that it does get better with age. As you get older, it gets better. It gets a deeper sense of self-satisfaction, a deeper sense of pleasure, and it's more satisfying for your partner as well, because there is a few trade-offs in being able to separate these two. And the main thing is to understand what ejaculation is. And ejaculation is pure heart energy. It's that power of man that actually creates life. And when you think about being in a relationship, a man brings heart into a relationship and a woman brings in sexuality. The meeting place from a man's heart into his sexuality, and from a woman from her sexuality into a heart, the meeting place is the same. But it's just this beginning point of what each brings into it. And it's this equation that really does make separating ejaculation and orgasm easy to understand. If you understand that what you bring as a man into your lovemaking and into your relationship is you bring your heart, you bring your open heart. And if you think about it, that's what a woman wants to feel most of all from her man, is to feel his open heart. And what you want from your woman, is to feel her through her sexuality. And this is the thing that each of us as men and women desire most of all from our partner. And we get caught up in what is it that we want, and we think that that's what we bring. And for man, the perception is that men bring sex. The reality is men bring heart. Men desire sex, but it's different to what we actually bring. And learning how to separate ejaculation from orgasm is simply understanding that man brings heart, and that ejaculation is pure heart energy. And what keeps a man safe as he ventures deeper into his heart energy, as he learns to separate the ejaculation, is not to close his heart down. One of the most important things around learning how to separate ejaculation and orgasm is to understand that ejaculation is pure heart energy, and that if you're going to be in a lovemaking place with a woman and you want to have your pleasure, your heart must be open. And if you ask a woman what she wants most of all from her man in lovemaking, is to feel his open heart. Ask her and see what she says. And this is the trade-off for you as a man. If you want to learn how to master your ejaculation, and it's not about controlling it, it's about managing it. It's about actually turning the heat up, increasing the intensity that you feel around your coming, but actually just simply breathing it down and bringing it back up into your orgasm. So the more you feel the intensity of your ejaculating, the more you actually feel it and open into it. And it's this opening into your heart, into your ejaculation, that's really challenging, because it's about you being more intimate and more vulnerable, probably more than you've ever been before, and going there regularly and staying there. And this is the fuel. This is the part that drives your ejaculation. And learning how to manage this is not easy, because it's about learning how to be open-hearted, but not in the superficial, touchy-feely way, but in the actual really gutsy, grounded, masculine way, to really be in your balls and to feel your balls fully as you open into your heart. That's the masculine way. And in that place, when you feel your ejaculation coming up, it's around connecting with your balls through your open heart. And it's like, the warrior charge. It might sound a bit corny, but that's what it actually feels like. It's the warrior charge. And that's the energy that it takes to bring your ejaculation down. Just simply breathe it down and then breathe it back up into your orgasm. And it's like not taking your ejaculation out of the picture or taking the energy away. It's actually breathing it into a place where you can actually bring it up into your orgasmic energy. And in this place, your pleasure really starts at 10, because the more you feel the intensity of wanting to come, and really breathing into your balls, breathing into your masculine warrior self, connecting with your heart in this place, the more that you step into that, the more you'll find that your ejaculation energy becomes orgasmic pleasure. And in this place, your starting point is your 10. And the more you go into this place and just practicing it, the small steps at the start, because it's a totally different concept and it's very challenging and it's not easy. but the rewards are way, way beyond anything that you've probably ever imagined was possible for you. And if you could imagine that your pleasure starts at 10, and each time you go into this place, your 10 moves to 11, 12, 13, 14. And in my personal opinion, my personal experience is I think that's unlimited. It's just how determined you are to focus on this and to actually bring this into your lovemaking with your partner. And this game is played best in a deeply long-term committed relationship. These skills are for men in a very deeply loving, open-hearted relationship. It's not something that's really easy to do with a woman as a man. It's not really easy to do with in casual sex. It's still experienced and it's still possible, but it's very limited. It's that heart connection, that heart energy. And in this place, the fuel that you feel as a man in your ejaculation control, the fuel is feeling a woman surrendering, in this place as you're penetrating her and feeling her opening up and welcoming you in. And that really adds even more intensity to this place. And once you've learned how to separate the two and starting to master this in lovemaking with a woman who can meet you in this place, it becomes a whole new experience. And the more you open your heart, the more vulnerable you are, the more you're connected, the more you feel this energy, the more she will respond. And the more she will open up to you, which adds even more fuel to the heat and intensity. And in this place, tantric lovemaking becomes a whole new experience. In a deeply committed long-term relationship, this adds a fire and intensity in your lovemaking that is just beyond words. And it's so simple. It's just an extension of what you currently do. And the actual physical lovemaking skills, there's no need to actually learn. You've got all the skills you actually need. The skills in this place is for the woman is to learning how to surrender into herself and trust her man. If she can feel her man in his open heart and can feel that connection, she'll respond to that. And she'll respond to that in a way that will just take your breath away. And what she wants to feel from you more than anything else is you in your open heart. And that gives her security. She can feel this part of you, and that gives her the safety and security to even surrender more deeply into her sexuality as she opens to you. And this keeps developing. It's like a cycle that starts that just keeps deepening and growing. And in this place, your relationship takes on a whole new meaning, and it's a lot more than just in the bedroom. The connection that you feel with yourself and your partner just extends even further and deeper, and it just goes outside through your family, for work, sport. Your whole life starts to pick up on this energy that you have in your relationship. People respond to it. They mightn't understand exactly what it is, but they respond. People pick up onto that. Women pick this up in men. Men pick this up in the women that have got it. And it's a life-changing experience. And by learning simply that ejaculation, the point of no return, is a 10, that is actually the starting point. And that's the design of the idea of separating ejaculation and orgasm, is simply learning how that ejaculation is about actually managing it and turning the heat up, but not stopping it or taking it out of the picture, but actually breathing it up into your orgasm. So your ejaculation, heat, intensity, and satisfaction that you feel goes into your orgasm. And in this place, you can have your orgasm as many times as you choose. And I'm talking hundreds of times. And each time you experience this, with practice, it gets more intense. And this is the beginning of being multi-orgasmic. The payoff for learning how the frustration and the challenges of learning how to separate ejaculation and orgasm, the payoff for that is becoming multi-orgasmic. And trust me, if you get to that point, your life will never be the same again. It is absolutely amazing. And for me, my experience in this place is that it's unlimited. And it's not about exploding out there in the universe and anything like that. It's about exploding inside to you. It's very on the outside looking in, tantric lovemaking in this place would never be an Olympic sport. There's not a great amount happening, but the internal experience between the two of you is very hot, very intense, very loving, very connected, and an incredible amount of pleasure with very little movement, very little work, very little bit movement, and then all of a sudden it can be quite vigorous. And for both of you, having your orgasm without actually moving, and for a man, experiencing your orgasmic pleasure hundreds of times, you lose count. And at this point, that once you've gone past your 10, at any time you can choose to stop, and just simply stop, and you'll find that there's no frustration, that you don't need to come to feel complete. You actually feel complete without coming. And settling into this place, you then have a choice as to whether you can come or not, whether you choose to come. And coming in this place is like nothing you've ever experienced before. Can go on for minutes. And it's not that you finish, it's just that you can't continue. You just run out of steam, like you really get to. It's not that couple of seconds little blip anymore. It's something that'll go for, 30, 40, 50 seconds, a minute longer. And it's not that you've finished coming, it's just that you can't continue anymore. And it's a whole new experience. And in a committed long-term relationship, the experience of coming with your partner is just a whole new experience, and it just adds a level of depth and intimacy, vulnerability into a relationship like, nothing that you've ever experienced before. And becoming multi-orgasmic in this is simply experiencing this over and over again. And each time you go there, it is always different. It's never the same experience. It's always different. It's just something that's just so unpredictable. And sometimes you think, oh, I'm going to have an absolutely amazing time. And, you mightn't even get to your 10. You might really struggle in your controlling where you get to 10 and you can't manage it. You stop at 8 all the time, because if you go too much further, you can't control it. And sometimes you go to the 10 really quickly and you can move straight past it, very, very quickly, and you have an amazing time. It's so unpredictable in this place, which I think is really exciting, because every time you go there, it's an amazing experience. And with your partner, as a guy making love with your woman, really important to be selfish for yourself in claiming this place for yourself and going to this place yourself, because like when you turn in to yourself and open into your own heart and experience this place in yourself, the more selfish you are in going there and feeling that, the more intensity your partner will feel from you. So it's like showing up more by being selfish. So the more you go into yourself and be selfish, the more she can actually feel you. It flies in against a lot of the popular beliefs that the porn industry put out there and the romance industry put out there. But this is actually tantric lovemaking, and it's a whole new ball game. And it's about being selfish. But being selfish, there's actually more of you shows up in your relationship, because the more you focus on opening your own heart and being true to yourself in this place, the more your heart opens and the more your partner can feel it. And it's a bit of a different concept, but it actually really works. And that's the idea of this, is that there's more of your heart in your lovemaking than ever before, because that's what your partner wants. And the more you open into this, the more she feels you. So this is a very quick thumbnail sketch of separating ejaculation and orgasm, becoming multi-orgasmic. Obviously, there's a lot of little tricks in there, and there's a lot of things that really are peculiar to you, because every single man's different. We've talked to a lot of men about this and shared the experiences and whatever, and every single one of them are different. Every single one of them has a different speed bump that they hit, blockages, hurdles, or whatever. And that's where the skill comes in, and that's what we offer through Oztantra. And that's the idea of these webinars, is that we'd like to hear your questions, and we can talk about the questions quite openly and quite freely, because probably I've had to deal with them myself as well. And where we talk about this is we talk as a committed relationship. Annette and I are in a long-term relationship, and this is part of what we have in our lovemaking. And where there's we've hit a lot of speed bumps, and we've had to work our way through them. There's a lot of good stuff out there, information and whatever, and there's a lot of rubbish. And the most important thing is to trust what you feel in yourself and what works for you. And if it sounds like bullshit, most likely it is. Trust what works for yourself, and the more you go in here into your own heart and be true to yourself, that's your bullshit meter. If it resonates, great, you're onto something. If it sounds like bullshit, it probably is. And if you're stuck, this is what we do. This is what we're here for. So send us your questions, and yeah, we'd like to hear from you. I hope you get something out of this. Thank you.